What happens if you send it a little too hard? You get a hole in the block. When you get a hole in the block, it's not gonna be a good time. So this truck was here for a Whipple Supercharger upfit about 5-6 months ago, and it came back with a hole in the block. Let's find out why. I'm actually gonna attempt to start it and drive it inside the shop. So this truck's only got 5,600 miles. Let's see how she runs. I'm gonna go ahead and open the window so we can hear what's going on. Apparently it's got a pretty good knock and a hole in the block. Yeah, she sounds great. She may not make it on her own power, but we're gonna try. Oh yeah. Low oil pressure, come on now. Come on. You can do it. Okay, I think that's it right there. That's all she wrote at 5,600. Let's check the oil. I'm guessing none. No, it's got oil in it, but no oil pressure. I don't think there's any reason to check codes. The check engine light is on, but obviously it's an engine internal problem. And I'm gonna put it up in the air and see if there's actually a hole in the block, or it's just maybe the oil pump failed. Who knows? Let's check it out. Just looking around underneath here, I don't see any holes in the block, but I do see some drips of oil. So oil was coming from somewhere. The holes could be behind the motor mount brackets, I'm guessing. So I won't be able to see anything until I actually pull the cab and start taking this engine out, I guess. All right, let's get to work. So let's see how much oil is left in this thing. I remember putting this on. This is like a quick release drain. Nothing. Dude, nothing. No oil. Wow. So where'd it go? Let's find out.
What's up, man?
Alright, so I got the catch can off. Let's check and see what we got inside here. We got a little bit of oil in there. Nothing crazy. This is a nice catch can that we put on. What's crazy is I don't see any like metal in there or anything. But I guess why would I see metal in there, right? So let's take a closer look around this engine and the drivetrain on the 21 and 22 F-150. What I notice is, look how thick the frame is. Like my 2012 was probably half of that. But look at this. I still don't see any holes in the block. I'm guessing maybe it's in the valley here somewhere, maybe. So the plan is I'm gonna go ahead and roll this thing forward, get it from underneath this cab so I can get out here and work on it. There's more light, and I'm gonna start disassembling. I'm gonna pull the blower off and go from there. How much easier it would be to install Whipples when the cab is off. Like literally you can get to the back bolts and everything. So just pulled the lid off the supercharger, and bank 1 is fine, bank 2 not so much. All that you see is partially cat, some metal, something, I don't know. What is that? Some of it's metal, but some of it's like paper or something. No damage, but it does need to be cleaned up. So I can see number 7 valves are bent and there's a bunch of trash in there. And then number 5, I see some stuff in there. But I still don't see a hole, so I'm guessing it's in the bell housing. I don't see any holes on the outside. There's your cat. Alright, so the old engine is out and there is no holes in the block or the pan or anywhere in the engine valley. No holes at all, which is crazy. So I'm gonna put this engine aside for now and complete the truck, but eventually let me know in the comments if I should take this engine apart and find out what actually failed. I could see through the top that cylinder number 7 valves were bent, but you know, and there's evidence of metal and catalytic converter insulation in the supercharger. So the supercharger is actually safe because no metal or anything got into the rotors, which is very good. So what I'm going to do is clean this up really nice, make sure nothing gets in the rotors, and then go ahead. I'm not sure if I'm going to pull the coolers out, but I'm definitely going to clean them up as well. These coolers actually saved the supercharger because it didn't let the metal or anything through, and it didn't end up in the rotors. So that's a positive thing. So why this engine failed? Who knows? We may never know, but we do know that we got a used engine and we're about to put it in. This used engine is actually only got 1,000 miles on it. As you can see, it still has the Fomoco original oil filter, so it hasn't had an oil change yet. 1,000 miles, so it's already broken in, which is the good news. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the intake off, put the plate on, lift it up, put it in the truck, and then start reassembling. So this is basically the 50% mark, I guess, where everything has to go back in. So everything went smooth. It is a 22 truck, so all the bolts are not rusted or anything like that, so everything came out smooth. Go ahead and clean all this up and put it in. Alright, so the new engine's ready to go back in. I did have to swap over the original wiring harness because the other one on the new engine, throttle body wires were like pinched, and I didn't want to take any chances, so I went ahead and swapped over the original wiring harness, which is always the best thing to do, just in case some pins got swapped over on the PCM connector. So right now at this point, the flywheel is on, everything is the way I want it to be. I can connect it back to the transmission, and that'll be a huge step, because then it's just assembly from there. And as far as cats, these are not going back on, obviously, because they're both blown. I think this one is blown for sure. Bank 2, bank 1, I'm not sure yet. Doesn't sound like it is, but it's very possible. What I will be installing for this customer is the long tube headers, so we'll go over that in a bit. Alright, so all this oil came out overnight. The engine was kind of on its side. Where is it coming from? I'm gonna say that this quick drain valve is probably clogged, and this thing actually is filled with oil, and that's where it's coming from. But anyways, the engine is in as of last night, and it's cleaned up. It's looking good. 1,000 miles on this engine or so. It's all torqued to the transmission. I did clean up the Whipple Supercharger itself. The rotors are flawless. Nothing got in the rotors. There was some debris in here. Cleaned it all out. Brake cleaned it, blew it out, vacuumed it out. Did clean up these real nice. There's no damage on them at all. So this is a really cool design, because these coolers actually saved the blower itself. Nothing got past the coolers and into the rotors. So it's a really good design when you have an engine fail like this one did. Still not sure what actually happened, but I've got an engine stand on the way, and I'm gonna possibly, maybe in this video or next video, maybe take this thing apart and see what actually failed. There's no holes in the block once again, but I can see that maybe cylinder number 7 or 8 blew up, and because I can see the number 7 valves are slightly bent. But I think the blower can go back onto the engine so nothing falls in there, so let's do that. been a really long day, but finally I've got the supercharger on the engine. Everything is torqued, everything's plugged in. Got the long tube headers installed, and if I said that they fit perfect, I would be lying. But do they ever fit perfect? They're 100% on there. They're torqued down. All the shields are on. The O2 sensors are plugged in and everything like that. The quality looks pretty good, but just so you know, when you're ordering long tube headers for 21 and 22, they're slightly different as far as the cat back connection. So make sure you tell them what you have on your truck so you get the right parts. Also, the dipstick on the 21 and 22, the dipstick is now a tube instead of, I think on the 18 through or 15 through 20 it was in the valve cover, and now it's a tube. So I ended up modifying this tube because I don't have the right dipstick, so I modified this one. It works, it goes in and out, so I'll be able to check the oil and stuff like that. And also the hole is plugged, so I mean, it's not the best, but it's gonna work, and this can be swapped out later. The new spark plugs came in tomorrow morning. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the plugs, gap the new ones, put the new plugs in, and then lower the cab finally onto the frame. Wow. Until tomorrow. Everything is so much easier with the cab off. Just pull the cab for everything. Oil change, pull the cab. Belt replacement, pull the cab. Alright, everything's assembled, everything is torqued, all the shields are on, everything is zip tied, all the clamps are on. I drained a little bit of oil. There was like maybe a cup of oil in there still from the used engine. And long tube headers look awesome. All the clamps are good. So all I have left is to lower this thing, fill it up with fluids, throw the battery in it, and crank it. Oil change required. Ready?
Yeah.
Well, she runs and drives good, no codes. I'm gonna do a full send here in a little bit, but with the long tube headers, honestly, and the stock catback exhaust, when you're normally driving, it sounds pretty good. It's not like loud, it's pretty much stock, but when you open it up, obviously it's a little bit louder, but I think it's good. So this is a stage 2 Whipple Supercharged F-150 2022 5.0 liter V8. Be sure to hit like and subscribe and check out our website for your Whipple needs. We do install these in one day. So just to review what happened to the other engine, to the previous engine, I'm not sure yet. And like I said, comment below if I should take it apart and look into it. But, you know, when you push vehicles like this to the limit, things will eventually give out. So change your oil in time, you know, use the right fuels, and keep up with the maintenance, you know, change your spark plugs, you know, things like that, and things will last. When you double the horsepower on the vehicle, things will give out eventually, is all I'm saying. So